Welcome to I'll Be There, the ultimate wedding podcast by Priya
and Nim
from Pristine Events. Whether you're a bride-to-be
or a groom gearing up
or just a wedding lover at heart, we've got you.
Welcome back to another episode of I'll Be There. I'm Nim.
I'm Priya.
And this week we're going to be talking about wedding advice that couples should ignore.
Love that. I feel like people get given so many pieces of advice.
Yeah, often, a lot from us.
Yeah, a lot from us, but also a lot from like family, friends, previous couples, things like that. And actually, a lot of the time, they haven't even asked for it. But it can be quite overwhelming to be like, what opinion is the right opinion?
Yeah, it's difficult. Like you said, it's like often unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
People will just say, I'm getting married next year.
Yeah.
And then people will then just kind of brain dump everything about their own wedding.
Yeah.
And then often like the negative things about it. And they just kind of say, oh, you need to consider this, you need to do this. Oh, it's really annoying because of X, Y, Z. Like there's a lot of, negativity around kind of discussing a wedding, especially if they didn't have a great process.
Yeah.
So let's
get into it. So we've got a whole list basically of things that we hear other people tell our couples. So we'll just go through them one by one.
Yeah.
And like see, and basically like myth bust.
Yeah.
Is that the right term? Myth bust?
Yeah.
Advice bust? Whatever it is. Anyway, we can start. Can I first caveat that I'm really nasal at the moment because I've been really unwell. Nim hates when I tell people this, but...
You just overshare a lot.
No, I do.
And now you're just drawing attention to it.
No, because I feel my sinuses are still really nasal. Like when I was trying to film a TikTok earlier, I had to keep stopping because I couldn't talk properly. So I'm just caveating and saying that in case I sound more nasal or in case I need to stop.
Okay.
Just letting you know. Okay. Let's start number one.
Okay.
It's your day. Do whatever you want.
I mean, I feel like you agree with this statement probably more than I do.
It's my motto.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how you wake up every day. It's your day. Do whatever you want.
Literally.
For me, I mean, I think there's always one person in the couple who is a bit more kind of guest focused and guest orientated. We have a couple this week who have just taken us on this week for a wedding coming up in the summer, and his exact words were, "I just want the guests to have a really good time." Yeah, which is kind of exactly what I said for our wedding, and the lens that I look at weddings through when we're planning weddings.
The guests are having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the guests are having a good time, like that's a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
The exact words you said were, "Do whatever you want."
Yeah, it's your day. Do whatever you want.
I mean, I think, within reason, I think that is true.
Yeah.
You should, because you are paying for it, or you're spending money that somebody in your family gave you for this day. So you should have the right to say yes and no to various things. But I think you need to be conscious that it's also somebody else's day in terms of their calendar, right? They've taken a day out of their life. They might have flown across the world. They might have taken a day of annual leave.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that it's also worth their time. Yeah,
I agree, and I obviously you don't want your guests to come and have a crap time and be miserable. But I don't think that every decision needs to be solely with the guests' priority and ease and comfort in mind. You definitely need to consider it and do basic things like obviously make sure they've got good food, good drinks, like a good environment. And by that I mean like if it's too hot or too cold, like make sure you got the temperature right, little things like that. But I don't think you need to plan your whole wedding around them. Yeah,
let's give an example. For example, like what would you say is a thing that a bride or groom might want to do that might be a bit contentious? I'll give you one.
You're gonna say fireworks, aren't you?
No, that's actually not at all what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something like an outfit, right?
Okay.
And I think this is like more from a cultural angle. Like, what about if, I don't know how to phrase this without sounding really like backwards, like something like a bit revealing in terms of your outfit, especially for like an Asian wedding. Yeah. Like a really low cut top. Is that how would you describe that?
Yeah, plunge.
Yeah, which I guess adults or more traditional people might say you shouldn't do that if you're getting married in front of God.
Okay.
But on the one hand, you could look at it and say, well, it's my wedding and I like that outfit. I'll do what I want. What's your view on that? Why are you laughing?
Because I feel like it's what your mum said to me.
Yeah, it was her one request.
Yeah, just please don't have your boobs out.
Don't have your tits out in front of God. No, which you actually listened to.
I did listen
nice.
to it. I know. No, I feel like it's hard because I think ultimately, like for that, particularly for a bride, no one should really tell you what to wear. Yeah. I guess it all comes down to how you feel culturally and, from a religious point of view. It's really tricky because you've got so many different opinions to take into consideration. I think if you can compromise in those situations where you aren't wearing something super revealing for a cultural part and then you wear something more revealing for the reception or a pre-wedding event, then maybe that's probably the best way to go. But I think ultimately it also depends on the relationship you have with your family or people around you. Like, if you feel like you wearing this thing is going to cause a massive scene and it's going to upset your family and they're going to keep making it obvious on the day, then is it really worth doing that? I was more talking I mean, that's a good example of like a plunging neckline.
That was it, plunging neckline?
Yeah.
That sounds less weird than what I said.
Low cut top.
Yeah.
I feel like I was giving examples of like if the gap between like maybe the ceremony and the dinner is maybe too long, guests can get quite tired or get quite hungry. Like things like maybe even location. If it's like in the middle of nowhere, which is fine, but if it's a super early start, just being conscious of those kinds of things. But sometimes you can't help it. If you've got a busy day, that is your dream venue, it kind of is what it is, and hopefully people would have stayed in a hotel nearby. Yeah,
but I think the difference with that is when I say when the advice that we're saying whether you should ignore it or not is it's your day, do whatever you want. If you picked somewhere which is super far away, if people didn't want to come, they're not going to come.
Yeah,
I'm talking about things that you've already made them come to the venue, and then now you're forcing them to live through. So a plunging neckline.
When you really have it out of a plunging neckline,
or a massive gap in between, like, because they're already there, right? Like, they didn't know that beforehand, I'd assume, and then now they're having to experience 3 hours of nothingness.
On that though, I think it's really important side point. But if you have got a long gap in between, let's say like the ceremony ends and you've got a big break and then it's the reception, I really feel like you should kind of tell guests that if you're not staying on site or at a hotel nearby, there is a 3-hour gap.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just FYI. Because sometimes people don't know that and they assume it flows all the way through. And then it gets to like turnaround time and there's like a bunch of guests that are lingering around looking at us being like, hey, like, where can we go sit? Is there tea and coffee? Can I have a latte? I'm like, no, like, we need everyone to leave this room because we're turning it around. There isn't any facilities, unfortunately. Like,
there was this meme that I saw. Not a meme. It was a skit that I saw with a couple who are having a wedding and they have the option of people staying over, and a couple of people have like RSVP and said, yeah, we'll stay over at this wedding hotel, but then their friends haven't done that, and they then like ask whether they can use the friend's room, and they'd be like, oh, do you mind if we just use your room? Or do you mind if we come like while you were going to get changed? Do you mind if you use your shower? Do you mind if we actually just take your complimentary breakfast the next morning? Basically, like, we don't want to pay for a room, but we're going to use all the things that you've asked for.
No, it's true, but you do have to prep people because otherwise it can get awkward. I think that's a big thing to think about as well. But I think ultimately, in terms of this advice, I think follow it, take it with a pinch of salt in that you also have to be considerate of guests. But in certain things, whether that's colour schemes, whether that's the kind of music you want to be played, like, I don't know, like if you've got a particular genre that you really love, and even if it's quite niche, like, it's fine to still play it. It's your wedding. You shouldn't feel like you have to just appeal to the masses for every part of it. But I think as long as you're making sure guests are fed, watered and comfortable, that's all that you can really do.
Yeah.
And someone's going to moan about something regardless. So you don't want to have given up things and people still moan anyway.
Yeah. What do you think about, this is so random, but this just popped into my mind, about if you have like really niche dietaries in terms of you as a couple.
Yeah.
And then you forcing that upon your guests.
Are you basically saying like if you were vegan and then you were serving?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. How did you know?
Because I know what you're like.
Okay.
I
mean, that's not even that niche. Like, there are a lot of vegan people, but like, would you expect a couple to then have a vegan wedding?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know any vegans that like. I'm trying to think of the vegan wedding that we did in Scotland. Like,
yeah.
I just feel like if you're vegan, it's normally for most of the time quite strong ethical beliefs or moral beliefs. Yeah. So then I just feel like you're not going to then serve.
What if
you're
like gluten free?
I don't think they'd make everyone be gluten free.
Why? Then she might have like could be he
strong beliefs.
Yeah.
No, I feel like vegan everyone can generally like eat, right? Like, I feel like people, even if they complain about it, I'm sure if you've got a vegan couple friends, you know you're going to go to a vegan wedding. And I think actually a lot of couples I know, like I follow that cooking influencer Ellie's Plate, and she did a whole vegan wedding, and her like purpose and her passion about it was like, I want to show that vegan food can be really tasty and like you won't feel like you're missing anything else. And she had loads of amazing feedback from her guests saying how incredible the food was and stuff. So I feel like it's completely fine to do that. And I think it's a bit ignorant as a guest to go there and expect that they're going to offer you something completely different to what they believe in.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. No, agree.
Yeah. Okay, let's do number 2. DIY weddings save more.
I mean, I'll read it for you because you misread that. DIY weddings save money. But good try.
The screen was cut.
DIY weddings save money. I mean, they definitely save money. What was the title of this episode? Wedding advice couples should ignore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can completely ignore that. You know what it is? I think if there are aspects of a wedding that can be DIY and can definitely save you money.
What are those aspects?
Like small, like for example, favors.
Yeah.
Things that you're leaving on, like sweets or packing things. I also think that's quite a fun thing to do as a couple with your bridal party, like prepping things for. Why are you smiling?
I just don't think in any world, if I was like, Nim, let's pack 200 sweet boxes, you'd be like, that's so fun.
No, I would.
Would you?
Yeah, like culturally, like in my Tamil culture, they do these things though. They call it palaram placking, where they like get the sweets and the post-wedding snacks together. It is quite a nice thing for people to come together and do. And I think similarly for favours, like if you've got something nice, I did it for my friend's wedding in Portugal. I helped them pack. Well, I think I came late actually. I just ordered pepes at the end, but they were like packing those tiles for their wedding in Portugal, which was nice.
The coasters.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I think favours are good to DIY.
For my sister's wedding, I did the donut wall.
Oh yeah.
Made a donut wall from scratch.
With my dad.
I made it. Your dad was instructing. He's also editing this podcast. We did it together. Thank you, Uncle.
Yeah, no, that's true. But DIY weddings, I think or DIY things for your wedding, only do them if you're naturally that kind of person. If you're not naturally that kind of person, you're actually going to probably find it more stressful and more costly because you don't probably have half of these things lying around.
I mean, that exactly going back to making the donut wall. The reason why I did it with your dad is also because he owns all of the tools that I needed to do it.
Yeah.
Whether that's like the electric saw, the sander, the actual bench to put it on to like assemble these things. If you actually try and buy all of these pieces of equipment or rent it, it's going to be really expensive.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think that's something that you have to bear in mind because a lot of the stuff you'd have at home, like I know loads of people have those, I never know if it's Cricut or Cricut machines, where you can basically personalise everything. So I know a lot of like brides who are quite like me, personalize everything, like t-shirts, socks, like I don't know, like favors for the bridal party and whatever, they do it via that. So because you have that already, it's a good investment because you're naturally that kind of person, so you can buy it and you'll definitely use it continuously. Again, if you're not that way inclined, it probably doesn't make sense. But I think other things that you could DIY would be stationery. If you're good on Canva and get it printed on printed.com, actually can work out really cost effective. I don't want to necessarily suggest this, but if you were really into florals and you were doing really simple centerpieces, like not like actual centerpieces, I mean like bud vases. You know when you have the long tables and you just have bud vases, you can go to a really nice flower market, buy loads of flowers and then do that and maybe get someone to arrange it in the morning. But of course you need someone separate to do it. But I think if you're quite artsy and that way inclined, those are kind of things that you could also do.
Yeah, I mean I think that's going to be expensive, no? You have to buy the vases, store them.
Temu.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people actually they buy stuff for their wedding, whether that's easels, whether that's like the frames and things like that, and then they end up like either selling it or like renting it out afterwards.
I think you were going to say returning it. That's something you would do.
It'd probably be too long past the buy date to even try and return it. But I think the issue comes when people think it's cheaper to DIY, particularly for at-home events. It's like, we'll just do a small event at home, it'll be DIY, it'll be thing. By the time you try and like make a backdrop, set up a marquee, buy tablecloth, buy all the food or get catering in, buy the drinks, like get the lighting in the marquee, like all these things, it does add up.
Yeah, and what you're paying for is your time, right? Like how highly do you value your time? If you're enjoying it, then it's slightly different. But actually, if you're stressed doing it and you're wasting a lot of time actually trying to execute these things, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
No, that's a really key thing. I think only DIY if it's something you think you're going to enjoy and find therapeutic and can do as like a fun activity. Otherwise, just get someone else to do it. Particularly if you're working full-time, because then it's like having another full-time job alongside wedding planning.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3.
You don't need a wedding planner.
I mean, I feel like we don't need to really talk about this too much, but I don't think everyone needs a wedding planner. I do think in an ideal world, everyone needs a coordinator. Yeah. I just can't explain the difference that it makes on the day. I know we're so biased, but I think even having it for our own weddings, I just think it makes a world of difference. And mainly so that you and your family can enjoy the day. And you don't have to worry about any of the background things, any of the stress, any of the contingency planning, like it's all done for you.
We're sounding like broken records, emphasizing this all the time, but because you'll never be able to experience a wedding with a planner / coordinator and one without, i.e. the exact same event in two different scenarios, you'll never know what you're missing out on.
Yeah.
But having been to so many weddings, you just know that had we not been there,
Yeah.
it would have been a beep show.
That's what I was thinking as well. So we don't have to go into that too much, but yeah, essentially, if you're at the beginning of your wedding planning journey, factor in coordination fees at the beginning as part of your budget.
Yeah.
Don't wait to the last minute and then be like, oh God, now it's an extra X amount. And it doesn't have to even be with us, just anyone who, well, I mean, it should be, but if it isn't, anyone who has got good reviews and you've spoken to actual couples who have used them and what their genuine experience is like. Because in the past month, I've had 3 different couples reach out saying that they've like fired their previous planners. Some
True
are UK,
story.
yeah. Some are UK based, some are abroad based because they've just been really useless, haven't helped with anything. The couples have had to do everything, and then they've asked us to now come on board a bit more last minute. And obviously, we don't always have capacity for that. But it just shows that just because someone's like promising you loads and giving you a cheap price does not mean they're going to deliver. And then all it means is you end up losing that money because you're not going to get the deposit back, and then you're having to start from scratch with someone else. So just do your research and actually speak to couples. Don't just look at photos alone.
Yeah, make sure they have a wedding podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really big big key green flag.
That's a hallmark of a good wedding planner, having a wedding podcast.
Okay, next one. Guests don't notice details.
Yeah, I mean, I would ignore this, but what I would say is that there are going to be a lot of guests who don't notice the details. And these are people who are not in that wedding phase of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So they're either not engaged. I'm talking about guys here, by the way.
Yeah.
Who are either not engaged or haven't got married in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like I notice because I help plan weddings. But also I began to notice when we were in our wedding planning journey.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, before we were engaged, couldn't tell you. Like I couldn't tell you what the colour scheme was. I couldn't tell you what their logo was.
So what did you notice at weddings then before?
Whether they had cocktails.
Okay.
I would notice if the DJ was good.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't know why they were good. You know, you just kind of feel it.
Yeah.
I would notice if there was accommodation on site for me to stay over with my friends.
Number one. Yeah, fine.
I'd notice the food.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't notice these small things.
Yeah.
Like I'd notice if, for example, there's favours
Yeah.
because it's like right there in front of you. But I probably wouldn't notice if there was a bespoke cocktail menu, straws and like small bits of stationery. I wouldn't have really appreciated seating plans.
Yeah.
As much as I do now, which sounds really weird. But like I appreciate a good seating plan.
Mm-hmm.
I also wouldn't have appreciated the details in terms of having an itinerary or a wedding sort of plan of order of the day at the wedding that people are sticking to, and like just having a seamless day.
Yeah, fine. Well, I mean, to be fair, as a stereotypical guy, I feel like you notice the things that you cared about, i.e. hotel on site, alcohol, and music.
Yeah.
I think it really varies. I think also it varies depending on the age that they are. The older people will notice things, particularly maybe about the religious ceremony.
Yeah.
And about food, in terms of what's being served and how quickly it's being served. They don't like waiting. And also about music, but not in like is it vibey? If it's too loud, or if they're sat too close to the speakers, they'll really notice that and probably be quite annoyed about that. Then I think the younger people will notice more of the like little details, but in terms of like the stationery, like calligraphy, name places, like if you've themed, like if your whole reception has a theme, for example, and if that theme has been tied into all different elements, whether that's table names, whether that's cocktail names,
like I definitely appreciate
decor.
that now, and I wouldn't have appreciated that a few years ago.
But I think ultimately maybe it's just more as weddings have become much more detail orientated. I'd say over the past like 5 to 10 years, I feel like guests do notice it more. But absolutely, like the couples that are soon to be engaged or recently married will notice everything. And they'll be not trying to compare, but naturally being like, oh, we had these centerpieces, oh, we had this same caterer, or we had this, and it's a case of just being hyper vigilant because you've been in that whole journey, and then therefore you appreciate the work that goes into it way more.
I also think because social media has become such a important part of the wedding planning journey. And if you're planning a wedding, naturally you're spending a lot of time on social media looking at weddings, so you have that keen eye for detail. And so when you see a wedding in real life, you compare it to what you saw on Instagram, so you'll notice if like a detail is missing or what was different between what you saw in real life versus what you saw online. You remember that?
Yeah, no, that's so true. But I think ultimately it still goes back to doing the details that you want to do.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to notice as much as you will on your day. Okay, next one. Invite who you want.
Should you ignore this? What do you think?
Didn't Uno reverse?
Yeah.
I think you should invite who you want.
Yeah.
I think the difficult thing is it again comes down to families, and like a lot of the time there's parental pressures in terms of inviting their friends or extended families and stuff. And I think you've got a lot to think about in terms of like venue capacity, and also like the more people you're adding on, your costs are just gonna like snowball because it's a per head like food price, drink price, decor to a certain extent in terms of like chair and furniture hire. And I just think like it's quite sad, but like half these people, if you're inviting them for the sake of it, you're probably not going to see them again for a long while, and you're probably not going to even speak to them on the day, nor will you probably speak to them afterwards. So what is the point of them being here? And actually I'm glad that weddings are getting smaller and smaller, so you can put more emphasis on quality.
Yeah, but do you not think that there's certain people, like older people, who feel valued by coming to a wedding? They might not obviously be enjoying it as much as a younger guest would, but they just feel like, oh, they wanted me there.
Do you think?
I think so. I think they feel nice going to a wedding, even if they kind of leave as the dance floor opens. It sounds really sad, but it's kind of gives them a little bit of, not purpose, that sounds actually really sad, but it just makes them feel included, like they're still of value to the extended family.
Yeah, I mean, no, I get it, but then I just feel like,
who cares?
No, I get it. I just feel like, I don't know, when I'm like 70, I'm probably not going to want to go to a random
I disagree. I think once you're that age,
well, I hope that we're like on holiday somewhere or just doing something. I wouldn't want to go to like a random wedding where I don't have a relationship with the bride or groom and I'm just going essentially for like a meal. I don't know. But maybe that's a generational thing. Maybe like currently where we're at, the older generation right now do really appreciate those things. And when we're that age, maybe we will, maybe we won't. Like, I just feel like I get it, but I just think if you then apply that to everyone, you're then probably adding an extra 50 to 70 people onto your guest list.
Yeah.
Or compromise and invite them to the religious part and then not the reception.
Yeah. What if it's a one-day event? Okay, you can go home now.
Well, I mean, people do that, right? It says it on the card, like wedding only. Yeah. Get the hint.
Yeah, but then you need to explain that to the guests who are there for the whole day, because they'll be like, "Oh,
see you later."
Reception later. They're like, "Oh, what reception?" What do you think about? I mean, this is kind of part of the same question, but what do you think about inviting people just because they invited you to their wedding?
Maybe it depends how recent. Like, if their wedding was like a few years ago, your friendship or relationship has changed, you don't really speak anymore, I don't think it's that deep. I think especially if it's mutual, like they've not really made any effort, I don't think they're going to be particularly bothered.
Yeah.
If it's quite recent, then I feel like maybe you should invite them out of courtesy. And if they also feel like they're not as close anymore, then maybe they won't come.
What about partners plus ones?
The rule that you said was if you've seen them in the past year or done something with them in the past year, then you should invite them. And I think also it depends on, like we said, touched on in the bridesmaid episode, not how old that person is, but if it, sometimes when you're older, like relationships can, progress very quickly. And if they're quite serious and if, your friend or whoever it is seems really happy with them and you've got a really good relationship with that person, then maybe it's something to think about extending it to. But I think ultimately, like, because it is your wedding, you can make that decision.
Yeah.
There's not a general rule book. Like, you have to just take it case by case. But I think you shouldn't feel obliged to just invite everyone that everyone wants you to. And that's why when we say to our couples, you'd have an A-list and a B-list and send your A-list invites out. And then once you've got the RSVPs back from that, you can then obviously invite your B-list. Just obviously don't tell people they're on the B-list.
Yeah, it's actually really hard, with guest invites and actually broadly picking a venue which is so contingent on how many people are going to be coming based on how many people you're inviting.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a really intimate friend and family group, you'll probably know early on. For example,
Yeah.
if you're only inviting 100 people, you'll probably know early on if 100
Mm.
people are going to come. But there's a big difference between inviting 300 people and if all 300 people come, you're excluding a lot of venues.
Yeah.
Whereas if that number's 200,
Yeah.
suddenly, you know, it opens up
Yeah.
like infinitely more
Yeah, agree.
venues.
You almost need to do like a poll. Be like, would
What,
you be
who's
interested in
interested?
coming to my wedding provisionally on this day, provisionally
Yeah.
at this place, and then just see?
And give them like a time limit to
Yeah.
reply back in.
And then if they don't get back to you or whatever, be like, well, I based it on your initial response, so like, now you can't come.
yeah.
Because it is hard, and it, like you said, it makes
Goodbye
a huge difference.
from
Yeah,
our lives forever.
yeah, bye. It makes a huge difference. Okay, you can plan a wedding in a few months.
I think you can plan a wedding in a few months.
Yeah.
I don't think you should plan a wedding in a few
Yes,
months, but I
agree.
think you can plan a wedding in
Yeah.
a few months. I mean, the main issue is finding a venue, right?
Mm.
We could plan a wedding in a few months.
Yeah.
I don't
We are
think somebody.
currently doing that
Yeah,
right now.
I don't think a couple who have never planned a wedding before
Yeah.
can plan a good wedding in a few months.
Yeah, without it being incredibly stressful and chaotic. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And something being missed out.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Yeah. Also, because you want to try and enjoy the experience. The only positive that comes off of that is that because the time is really small, you have to make decisions really quickly.
Mm.
Whereas sometimes I think when couples have got like 18 months, they get all these quotes and then they sit on them for like
Yeah, I
4
prefer
months.
it with our couples. I much prefer it.
Yeah.
Like it being 3 months before they haven't done anything and they've just brought us on board. I'm like, sick.
Yeah.
Now you
yeah.
have to
We
make
can
a
just-
decision
yeah,
within a week,
Yeah.
rather than it just sort of like lingering.
Quotes expire.
Yeah, the
and
quotes
you have to
expire.
Go,
yeah,
go back,
and then
check
so-
availability, and it's just a lot
exactly.
of back and forth. So I think it can definitely be done, but like you said, you definitely need some support with it because otherwise it can feel really overwhelming to know what you need and what you don't need, and also you want to enjoy the experience.
Let's do one more.
Okay.
Bigger wedding equals better wedding.
No, I don't think so. I actually quite like slightly smaller weddings, less people, more intimate vibes. Like just.
What's your perfect number?
I think like 120 to 100
Really?
to 150 is
No, I
quite.
disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you spacing this on our wedding?
Yeah. It's the perfect number. No, I don't know. I think 120 people, you know, a lot of white weddings are 120 people. They know the drill
Yeah.
for that number. But for like an Asian wedding, I think 120 people is quite light.
But that's just because that was what the narrative was, right? I think the narrative is changing.
Yeah, but I think for an Asian wedding, if there's 120 people, like 90 of them are going to be above 70 years old. So like, yeah, that's why you need more people.
No, I mean, it depends on your crowd, right? But I think definitely doesn't mean bigger, and we don't even mean bigger in terms of the guest number, but also like just because, and we said this before, just because you've been to like you can spend ridiculous amounts on your wedding, have the most amazing production and decor and like fresh florals everywhere and whatever, but actually if you don't have the couple's energy, which makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
We've been to weddings with couples who've been so vibey and the crowd literally is electric because they are bouncing off the couple. We've been to weddings where couples have been really low energy for whatever reason, and the crowd are like sat down just like waiting to basically for the dessert and then to go home. So I think your couple makes a big difference, and then also just the guests themselves. So I think don't always feel like you have to spend on everything and do the biggest of everything. And we always say that your wedding has to be a reflection of your personality, right? And like how you are. Otherwise it can just feel like a really generic cookie cutter thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's completely dependent on the couple and the crowd. I sometimes don't think you can predict these things. Oh, actually, no, that's a lie. I think as a couple, if you're self-aware, you should know how the day is going to go in terms of the crowd and the vibe, and if it's going to be a good wedding. Us as the planners, sometimes you don't really know what their crowd is going to be like. So I don't know if a small wedding will still have the energy and the vibe and the feeling of a big wedding. But I definitely think a small wedding can be amazing. Yeah. And even a low budget wedding can be amazing. Yeah. If you pick the right suppliers. Yeah. Have the right guest list. And yeah, you bring good energy. Yeah. That's like, if you're a good person, that sounds really like wet, but if you're a good person, like I'd like to think that you then surround yourself by good people. Yeah. And you'll have a good wedding. And people no matter what you spend on the wedding. Yeah, they'll make the effort for you. Preach. That was a good one. I feel like they were good myths or advice myths that we... Yeah, I'm not sure if you follow the structure of like busting these myths or just said something and then talked about it, but... Yeah. We're just doing this for the reels and Instagram, so it's fine. Thanks, guys. Tune in next week. Bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Please like, follow, subscribe for more.